Welcome to Thanatology 13, episode 1.4. I'm your host, Becky Floyd from Death Education Central. This episode is on the topic of why we bury the dead. There's a quiet, enduring gesture that stretches across the deep history of our species, one so familiar that we rarely stop to question it. We bury our dead. We dig into the earth, we place the body, we mark the space, and then somehow we continue. But why? Why this act? Why this pattern repeated across tens of thousands of years, across cultures that never met, across landscapes that share nothing but this one persistent behavior? In this exploration, we're going to step into that question, not just archaeologically, but humanly. Because when we ask why we bury the dead, we are also asking something much deeper. What does it mean to stay connected when someone we love is no longer here? There's a common assumption about burial that it is, at its core, a very practical thing to do. Just a way to dispose of the body, a matter of hygiene, taking out the trash, a necessary response to biological decay. And at one level, this is true, but it doesn't explain everything. Because if burial were only about disposal, we would expect efficiency. And instead, what we find across time and cultures is something entirely different. We find care and placement and a return to that place. Burial is not just a solution to a problem. It's a declaration. It is a human insistence that death does not erase relationships, but transform them. To understand why burial matters, we need to begin with a distinction. Across many species of animal, we see what's called mortuary behavior. This is an immediate response to the dead. There may be attention, even signs of distress, but it is temporary, and the body remains the focus, and eventually the living move on. And humans do something different. We engage in what anthropologists call funerary activity, and the difference is subtle but profound. Instead of something immediate and fleeting, it becomes enduring. Instead of focusing only on the body, we begin to create meaning around it. We choose places. We return across time. We build memory into the landscape. Burial is not just about what happens in the moment of death. It's about what continues long after. If we follow this pattern back far beyond recorded history, we begin to see the first glimmerings of something new. Around 400,000 years ago, at a site in Spain known as Cima de los Huesos, or the Pit of Bones, we find something unusual. Not a scattered accumulation, not the remains of predation, but bodies placed deep within a cave shaft, in a location that is difficult to access, and even more difficult to explain as accidental. Researchers call this funerary caching, a precursor to what would later become burial. There's no grave yet, no ritual objects, no clear symbolism, and still something has changed, because this is no longer simply a response to death. This is a decision. By 120,000 years ago, something else begins to appear. Not just placement, but symbolism. Bodies are no longer simply left, they are prepared. At sites like Kabsa and Skull in the Levant, we find a child's carefully laid to rest with deer antlers placed across the chest. Now, this is not accidental, and it is not efficient. It is an act of intention. And you can see here on the slide, we have a photograph of the archaeological context. You've got the skull here, And I have highlighted them in pink, the placement of the antlers. And here's a diagram showing the same thing, and you can see some rib bones here and the flexed legs here. This image over here is a reconstruction of that site, and then this is a imagination of what it might have been like to bury that child. You see a body positioned, objects chosen, and we also see the use of red ochre, a pigment deliberately applied to the dead, the color of blood, the color of life, the color of transformation. Something is being expressed here that goes beyond the physical body. This is the emergence of a new kind of thinking. Not just what happens to the body, but what death actually means. As we move forward in time, these moments of care begin to take on a pattern. At sites like Shanidar Cave, associated with Neanderthal burials, we see something unmistakable. The bodies are not simply placed, they are arranged, curled into deliberate flexed positions again and again. We begin to see consistency in orientation, in posture, in placement. And this is where something changes, because repetition is the beginning of ritual. These are not acts of expediency, these are acts of attention. And this is what that attention looks like in the archaeological record. Here we see in the photograph of a reconstruction of that Neanderthal burial, a body placed as it has been placed before. Ritual does not begin with belief, it begins with what we do, with what we repeat, until action itself begins to carry meaning. What we begin to see in the archaeological record is not random. It follows a pattern, a structure, what happens that appears again and again across cultures. Anthropologist Arnold van Gennep described this as a rite of passage, a process that moves a person from one state of being to another. It begins with separation. The deceased is removed from the immediate world of the living. They are set apart. Then comes what he calls liminality, a threshold state, a period of ambiguity, where the person is no longer who they were, but not yet what they will become. This is a time of transformation. And finally, reincorporation. The deceased is returned to the social world, but differently, not as they were in life, but as something new, an ancestor, a memory, a presence in another form. Burial is not just an action, it is a process, one that helps both the dead and the living move through the rupture of death and into continuity. If we look more closely at what happens after death, we begin to see another pattern, one that connects the physical and the social. Physically, the body begins to change, what some describe as the wet phase, the period of decomposition, when biological life has ended, but transformation is still underway. Over time, this gives way to the dry phase, bone, stable, enduring. And alongside this, something similar is happening socially. The person who has died is no longer part of the living world, but they are not yet an ancestor. They exist in a kind of in-between state, what we might call a wandering presence. At the center of this idea is a simple but powerful observation. The fate of the body mirrors the fate of the soul. This is not just biological change, it is transformation, recognized and responded to by the living. In many cultures, this process is made explicit through secondary burial. Bodies are exhumed, cleaned, and reburied, not once, but twice. Because the first burial begins the transition, and the second completes it. Death in this sense is not a single moment. It is a process, one that unfolds in both flesh and meaning. And there is another layer to all of this, not just what we do, but how we think. Human beings carry something cognitive scientists sometimes call a person file, a mental structure. that keeps track of the people in our lives, even when they're not physically present. When someone we love dies, that system doesn't simply shut off. We continue to think about them. We imagine what they would say, how they would respond, what they might think of what we are doing now. In a very real sense, they remain active in the architecture of our minds. And this is important because it means that biological death does not feel like a disappearance. Instead, there is a kind of persistence, a continued presence, not in the body, but in relationship. Human cognition is not well equipped to accept absolute absence, and so we do something else. We create ways for that presence to remain. If the relationship continues in the mind, then burial does something remarkable. It gives that relationship a place to go. What was once internal becomes external. A grave, a marker, a tomb, a specific location in the world. This is what we might call external symbolic storage, the movement of memory out of the mind and into the landscape. Instead of carrying the entire weight of absence within ourselves, we place it somewhere we can turn to, somewhere we can stand and remember. In modern grief theory, this is sometimes called a continuing bond. The idea that healthy mourning does not require letting go. It requires reconfiguring the relationship. Burial does not end the bond. It relocates it from the body to a place, from presence to memory, from life to continuity. Over time, these individual places of remembrance begin to gather. Burial is no longer isolated. It becomes collective. We begin to see the emergence of cemeteries, not just as places for the dead, but as structured environments within the living world. The dead are not placed far away or forgotten. They are embedded, woven into the daily geography of life. Paths are built around them, communities form beside them, generations pass, and the same ground is returned to again and again. These become landscapes of memory, places where the past is not separate from the present, but held within it. In this way, the dead are not removed, they are integrated, structurally, spatially, relationally. In some cultures, this idea of continuity becomes even more explicit, not just in ritual or memory, but in the very structure of daily life. Archaeological evidence from the Jomon period in Japan reveals a striking pattern. Settlements were arranged in circular forms, with the living organized around the dead. At the center is the burial ground, not at the edge, not hidden away, but held at the core. Homes are built outward from this center. Daily life unfolds in relationship to it. Generations grow up with the presence of the ancestors as a constant. The dead are not something separate. They are the gravitational center of the community. This is continuity made visible, not just remembered, but lived within. In many traditions, the process does not end with burial. It begins there. The dead are not simply remembered. They are transformed into ancestors. Ancestors who remain active, who protect, who guide, who participate in the moral life of the group. And in return, they are tended, offered food, given attention, spoken to. This is not a metaphor. It is a real relationship. We see this across cultures. In Japan, the Sosen Suhai, and Chinese ancestral traditions, and across many African systems of kinship and continuity. Different forms, but the same underlying structure. The dead remain within the living system. They're not gone. They've changed roles. So what we've been looking at is not a single practice. It's a system with three interlocking parts. First, the physical act, the grave, the treatment of the body, the material handling of death. This is what we see. Second, the cognitive mechanism, the mind that continues to track the person, that keeps them alive, that refuses absolute disappearance. This is what we experience. And third, the social structure. Ancestors, communities of the dead, landscapes organized around their presence. This is how we live with it. Together, these form what anthropologist Robert J. Lifton called symbolic immortality. Not immortality of the body, but continuity, through memory, through relationship, through structure. Burial is the technology that makes that possible. So, we do something very specific when someone dies. We tend to them, we arrange them, we mark their place. These are not just practical acts, they are declarations. We tend to them because the relationship continues. We arrange them because the social world must make space for them. We mark their place because memory needs something to hold on to. And taken together, these acts say something very clear. To bury the dead is to insist that a life does not vanish, but transforms. And that we are still in relationship with them.